Explained by the Billy Meier contacts. Mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
William Shakespeare authorship question. Contact Report 298.
Well, and if we are already with England or the English, then I would like to ask you about the English playwright and poet William Shakespeare, or about his private life, of which not much is known. Simya Se once told me a lot about it, in terms of his faith and one of his secret activities, which was in no way praiseworthy, in connection with the Vatican.
Shakespeare was not born on 23.4. 1564 on the one hand, as is generally assumed today among Earth humans, but on 19.4. 1564, after which he was baptized on 26.4. 1564 and died on at his time. Pure Catholicism was forbidden in England, which is why William Shakespeare officially confessed to Protestantism, which, however, was tantamount to a fraud, because in truth he was very strict and almost fanatically addicted to Catholicism, and thus a strict and fundamentalist believer of this religion. However, he knew how to hide this so well that only his wife Anne, née Hathaway, who was 8 years older and married to him in 1582, knew about it. The wife had fallen for him, which is why she remained silent in spite of many marital quarrels and in spite of his jealousy, even when she learned through dream conversations on his part that he was treacherous and spying for the Holy See in Rome with regard to the Anglican Church, Church of England, State Church.
Contact Report 529.
Do you know anything about William Shakespeare?
Of course.
Then you also know that even today his real date of birth is not known, so it is still a mystery. Can you help there, because I was asked about it?
That is possible for me. According to the old calendar calculation, he was born on the 21st of April, 1564, and was baptized somewhat unusually late, on the 26th of April, 1564. He then died on 23rd of April, 1616.
By the old calendar calculation, you probably mean the one that was used before the Gregorian calendar, or? The Gregorian calendar was introduced in England in 1752.
What you say is correct.
Contact Report 530.
Then again, a question about Shakespeare. It has long been said that he did not write all his works himself, but had a ghostwriter. Is there any truth to this?
Indeed, yes, because certain works were written for Shakespeare by the 17th Earl of Oxford, a poet and playwright called Edward of Vere, and a certain Christopher Marlowe.
And that is all?
Yes, because no further explanation is needed.
Contact Report 532.
Good, it says Marlowe. And then the question of how this man is in relation to what you said on the 19th of November about this man who, like Edward of Vere, also wrote for Shakespeare. How much did Shakespeare himself write, and why did the other two even write works for him? It also raises the question of who wrote Hamlet and who wrote Romeo and Juliet. Were they really written by Shakespeare himself?
Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet were not written by William Shakespeare but by Christopher Marlowe, as were various other works. Although the 17th Earl of Oxford, Edward of Vere, also wrote various works for Shakespeare, who himself was not so good at writing in the manner attributed to him that he could have written the works attributed to him today. From his own writing came only very trivial and insignificant things, which he also did not bring to the public, and so all the 38 known dramas, comedies, poems, and histories attributed to him came from the pen of Edward of Vere and Christopher Marlowe. Both used Shakespeare during 1589 to 1613 only as a makeshift to publish their works. Edward of Vere was not so good, but Christopher Marlowe was a very good poet and playwright. Both of them, however, had profound reasons to use Shakespeare as a makeshift, especially Marlowe.
I am sorry. By makeshift you mean straw man, that Shakespeare gave his name to the works written by Edward of Vere and Christopher Marlowe, so he used them all under his own name, and also took credit and honor for them. But what I do not understand is that they were both ghostwriters for Shakespeare.
Edward of Vere was, as I said, not a particularly good poet and playwright, so he used Shakespeare for some of his works, so that he would not have to appear himself because he feared bad criticism. Christopher Marlowe, on the other hand, had to flee because he put his life in danger with regard to his faith. So, in the spring of 1593, he arranged a well-considered brawl with friends in which he was allegedly stabbed to death, which allowed him to escape unrecognized. The truth is that he fled and went to Italy, where he could live under a different name and without the danger of persecution. It was there that he wrote most of the works he had sent to Shakespeare until 1613, who then used them under his name. However, he was not allowed to do so under his own name, nor was he allowed to do so under his false name, because otherwise he would have been recognized, persecuted, and handed over to the courts. Christopher Marlowe himself died at the age of 50, on 28 May 1614, so that Shakespeare naturally did not receive any more works from him during the last 2 years of his life, and nothing else became known under his name.